Hi everybody, welcome to your COVID victory garden. I am Mila Fournier and I'm here to help you learn how to garden while you're not doing anything else because you're home and we're all inside because we're all quarantined. So, a little bit about me. My name is Mila Fournier and I'm an educator at the Cooperative Extension here in Tompkins County in beautiful Finger Lakes of New York. So the other day we sat together and we took this thing that used to hold lettuce from the grocery store. We put some soil in it, we put some lettuce seeds in it, we wet it, and we put it on the windowsill, and soon enough it'll be lettuce. Right now it doesn't look like much because we just planted it like 36 hours ago. So we'll wait and see. Now, the important thing to know about starting seeds is that when you add in water and warmth and your seeds are in their soil, they will start to grow. If you start that process, it starts all this kind of like crazy hormonal stuff that happens inside the seed that says grow, grow, grow. Well, if at any point you remove those factors, it stops the seed from growing. And once a seed stops growing, it dies. So once you actually start that process, you have to make sure that the seeds stay moist and stay warm. So on my windowsill here, I don't have to worry about the warmth because it's 66, 68 degrees in my house all the time, but I do worry about the moisture. So this had a lid on it. It was getting a lot of condensation, so I took the lid off so it got a little bit of airflow because I don't want it to get moldy at all. But I will make sure that it's nice and moist. Right now it feels kind of like a wet sponge, which is perfect. As long as your seeds continue to be in a medium that feels like a wet sponge, they'll keep growing, so you'll be fine. So what's next? Well, a lot of people ask me, what do I even grow? I don't even know. I go to the store and there's like hundreds and hundreds of seed packets. Well, it's true. There are thousands and thousands of varieties of things you could grow out there. So what I want to do is I want to make it as easy for you to grow and grow successfully. So I'm going to go through a list of some things that will give you lots of success in your garden so that you have plenty of produce growing out of your COVID victory garden, and so that you and your family can eat healthfully without having to go to the store so much. And aside from actual like vegetables that are easy to grow that I'll talk about, I'm going to give you some guidelines for figuring out when you're standing there in front of, I don't know, this many choices of tomatoes on that online ordering form, you know which one to pick for your garden. So we're going to start in chronological order. We're going to start with the things that will grow in your garden right now. But before that, I want to show you my biggest advice to any new gardener is this. Grow what's easy and grow what you love. So the things that fit in this Venn diagram between easy and love, that's what you want to grow. Now, classic example of something that's easy, radishes. Radishes will grow like when you blink. They've started to germinate and you see the green coming out of the ground, and really soon you'll have that little red ball that's poking its head out of the top of the ground. Well, that's great. They're so easy. You'll have radishes in a couple of weeks. Unfortunately, if you're like me and you don't love radishes, it doesn't really matter so much how easy they are because you're just not going to want to eat them. I eat like 4 radishes a year, usually because it's in something else and I probably didn't notice, but I'm not going to go out and eat a radish like the way someone would eat an apple. No way, not me. Other people, yeah, go for it. On the opposite end of things that I love cantaloupe, but cantaloupe in upstate New York is not so easy to grow. I'll grow it anyway, but I'm not going to expect much out of it. I might get like, 4 good cantaloupes out of one plant if I'm lucky. They need a lot of heat and they need a long season, which are 2 things that we don't have a lot of here in upstate New York. So stick to what you love and stick to what's easy, and I'll show you what's easy. So I said I was going to start chronologically. What that means is I'm going to start with the things that you can put in the ground any day now. So you'll see some people start gardening as soon as it gets to be a little tiny bit warm. So we had kind of a warm day last week on Friday. It was like almost 60 something degrees. It was incredible. And then yesterday it snowed. So I usually wait till the end of March before I can really feel like I can plant things in the garden, usually like the first week of April. And here's what you're going to put in the garden. We're going to start with the list of now. You can start with peas, greens, and certain roots. So peas, we all know peas. Peas are delicious. You often get them as frozen little balls. You can get them in a can, or you can buy fresh in the produce section things like snap peas or things like snow peas. So let's see. What's the difference between snap pea and snow pea? A snap pea is one that you grow once the pod gets a little thick and the pea starts to thicken up inside the pod. Snow peas are the ones that are flat potted. You can see the little tiny bumps that will one day maybe become a pea, but those are the ones that you usually get in, say, like a stir fry. So these are your earliest things to grow in your garden. And we're going to apply a little logic here, and that's going to apply to everything I'm going to recommend. When you can eat something in its younger stage, you'll be able to eat it sooner. So for instance, you're going to get snap peas, these, the ones that are a little bit thicker, after you're going to get snow peas. The reason for that is that you harvest these when they're flat potted, meaning the pea hasn't really grown very much. You harvest these once the pea has kind of thickened up a little bit and while the pod is still kind of thick. So you're going to eat these first, you're going to eat these second in your garden. These will be ready to eat probably in about 5-6 weeks. Oh, maybe, okay, 6 to 8 weeks maybe. You're going to get these in about 55 days from the time you plant them. So that means if I plant these at the beginning of April, I'm going to get these from my garden at the end of May. So the next thing that was on our list of things to grow right now, greens. So that includes things like, it includes things like chard. Chard is one of the easiest things you could possibly grow. And most people are like, chard, it's one of those things that a lot of people don't necessarily eat, but I stir fry it all the time. I use it the way I use spinach. You can use it, it's really versatile. But one of the nice things about it is it pretty much grows anywhere, anytime. It starts growing the minute that it gets even a little bit warm in your garden. And it'll go all the way through, and you can keep growing plantings of chard all the way through the growing season. Cabbage is another one that you can grow early in the season because it doesn't mind a little cold weather. Lettuce doesn't mind cold weather either. So we planted lettuce here on my windowsill where it's a lovely 68 degrees. Well, it doesn't need to be 68 degrees. Lettuce actually grows when it's colder than that. Lettuce will start growing in your early spring garden. But why do I do both? Well, this is going to grow a little faster because it's warmer in here. It's more consistent. I can make sure the watering is more consistent because it's inside and it's easier to take care of. But by having 2 different plantings of lettuce growing, one on my windowsill and one out in the garden, what I'm doing is I'm ensuring that I can eat lettuce from my windowsill probably a couple weeks earlier than I will from the garden, but it means that by the time I'm done eating the windowsill lettuce, my garden lettuce might be ready to harvest. It means that I'll have a continuous harvest of lettuce over the course of the spring. Let's see, some other good greens that you can grow starting in a couple weeks. You've got kale, you've got spinach, we have Asian greens. So kale loves cool weather. It'll do fine out there right now. Asian greens like pak choi also does great in this weather. What else do I have? Oh, spinach. I actually can't show you a packet of spinach because I don't have one. I just ordered more spinach today. But spinach is another crop that does really, really well in cool weather. So those are some things you can do right now. Other things you can do right now are some roots. Let's see, can you see that? This is Early Wonder Tall Top Beet. And this one can get planted in the ground as soon as the ground is workable. So that means in a couple of weeks' time, I'll be able to plant those beets. Beets are great because you can eat, obviously, the beet, the bottom part, but you can also eat the leaves of the beet the way you would chard. Cook it up the same way. Other roots that you can put in the ground now, you can put radishes in if you like that kind of thing. And you can also put in onions pretty soon. Onions, we'll wait maybe a week or so after your peas go in the ground, but sets can go right in the ground and they will do great for you. Other things that you can grow. Later on, and in my next video I'll get into this a little bit more, we can grow beans, zucchini, squash, cucumbers, tomatoes, potatoes, and peppers. That rounds out my list of favorite, easy to grow, high yielding things that you can plant in your garden. I won't get into garlic. Garlic's one of my favorite things to grow and probably one of the easiest, I think. But we'll talk about that much later in the year because that doesn't even go into the ground until the fall. So for now, happy gardening. Feel free to ask as many questions as you want. There's no such thing as a dumb question. There's no such thing as a enfant terrible of the gardening world. No one's born knowing all this stuff. The only way you do it, the only way you learn is by going out in the garden and making mistakes and growing things and having some successes and learning from others. So go ahead, ask questions. I want you to grow. Bye.